Hey gang, Rodin here. Welcome on back to the Retrocade and welcome to another edition of Sports Saturday, where we do a deep dive into a classic sports game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And for this Sports Saturday, our 20th episode in this feature series, I've had this one in the bag for a while for a couple of reasons, as I hope to articulate as we go. But we are going to play Australian Rules Football Premiership 2005 for the PlayStation 2. Now, I want to play this game because I am, for as long as I have been a fan of video games, I have been a fan of Australian Rules Football. I discovered both at around the same time in my life in the early 1980s. And what we're going to do over the course of the next half an hour or so is we're going to play this game and see if I can get a win utilizing my favorite AFL team, which is the Western Bulldogs. And there are, to give you some background on this sport, when people think about football around the world, they think of two things primarily. They think of American football, which is the NFL, and European football, which we colloquially here in the States, incorrectly or otherwise, call soccer, right? Well, down under in Australia, they've been playing Australian Rules Football, or footy is the local colloquialism there, since 1859. It is in trying to encapsulate what this sport is. And I've had people ask me about it many a time. Essentially what it is it's part Quidditch, it's part rugby, and it is all kill the bloke with a football. So what we'll do is we're going to set up a match here, and let's see. I mean, I could pick anybody we want to take on. We'll take on the Essendon Bombers. Why not? And what we'll do is we'll set this to be played in Melbourne at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is the former Melbourne Olympic Stadium, where the Olympics were held back in the 60s, if I recall. I want to say 1960 or 64. It's still one of the largest stadiums in the Southern Hemisphere, and it is the home of the AFL Grand Final, which decides the champion of the league every year. Now, the question becomes, how does somebody like me, who grew up in a backwater part of the U.S. in the Northeast, even hear about Australian Rules Football, let alone become a fan of it? And I have to take it back to 1982-83 and the advent of cable, when ESPN was not just Hot Take Central, but gasp, they showed actual sports. So that is where I discovered it, because they were so desperate for content that they would show Aussie Rules Football along with like Canadian football, which I'm also a fan of, to fill programming space. So that's where I learned the game, and then over the years I discovered it more as it branched out onto different cable outlets, and then when I was able to start getting access to overseas streaming, I was able to start watching it that way. So how this sport works is it is built on the idea of having 18 men on a side in the middle of this big oval field. And as you may have noticed, there are a couple of markers that you need to keep in mind. That big 50 arc stands for 50 meters from the goal. And the goal there are 4 posts at the end of the grounds. And I'm going to pause it right here really quick just so I can focus on explaining this to you. So the idea is that you want to be able to move the ball downfield, and the ball is a big rugby ball. You're not allowed to throw it like you can in American football, and you don't kick it on the ground like you do in European football. You've got to be able to kick it in the air to a player downfield. If he catches it, it's called a mark, and then you keep moving the ball forward towards the goal. Or you can punch it like you would a volleyball and move it that way. If you're out in the open and you run, you have to be able to dribble the ball. You can't just take it and go wherever you want. So it's a much more kinetic sport. They play for 4 periods, or terms as they call in the UK. And they score it by, if you kick the ball between the middle 2 posts, which are the tallest posts, that's a goal that's worth 6 points. If you kick it between the smaller posts on the outside, that's called a behind, and it's worth 1 point. And how they tally it up is most points at the end of the game wins, and you'll see the rest of it as we go. Now, for this game, it is pretty straightforward in that your square button allows you to kick the ball, your control stick moves you in a direction, and then your circle button is tackle. L1 is the sprint button. But you have to keep in mind that your guys only have a certain amount of juice by which they can sprint. And I wrapped him up and got the tackle, so now what we will have is the referee will come over, and how they get the game, or no, we actually got a free kick because they held the ball. There are penalties in this game. They're a little hard to discern only because... Okay, now I got a shot at goal here. Sends it on its way. Is it going to be a goal? No, it was a behind. So I sent it through the side post, so that gives me 1 point. And every time you have a scoring play, the umpire will be underneath it, and he will either put one hand down for a behind, or he'll put two hands down for a mark. He got it away, and then I will kick it straight through, and now you'll see him drop two hands, and that's a goal. So now we're immediately up 7-0. Now, each term or period is 20 minutes long. Now, I don't know how fast it's going to go, but we're already 12 minutes into this first term, so it looks like it's going to go pretty quick, which means we might be able to get in more than one game. Now, again, the standard rules as apply is that if I don't win the first match, then that's a loss. I've got to win the first one like you did in Mutant Hockey a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and I got wrapped up, and I think I got hurt, judging by the cross there.
Oh, he's hurt. Cuts towards the middle.
Now that's a mark.
Timely handball. Cooney kicks them into attack. He's dragged down. Smith with the ball. Quarter time. The Bombers trail by 7
and I won't be able to get a chance to kick it as we're already at quarter time. Now, to give you an idea of how the scoring works here, that first one is for the goal we got, the second one is for the behind we got, and then it's the total. So it's essentially 6 + 1 = 7 is how they score it. But as a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid in the early 80s, in a time when cable TV was in its ascendancy and not many households had it.
Quite severely, but at this stage it's unclear what the exact problem is.
Can I get it? Oh. Try to kick it up, and we got the goal. Or no, it was a behind because I kicked it off the post. I thought I had it. If it hits the post, then it counts as a behind. But anyway, my grandparents back in the day were the only people I knew who had cable. So that was how my entry into a lot of things. But I actually discovered Aussie Rules Football before I really discovered American football, which is staggering when you think about the scope of the NFL.
Has the ball and drives it long inside 50.
So now I get a chance for a kick on goal from about 50 meters out. And I'm going to have to try and aim this puppy. Or am I? Yep, sent on its way. I'm going to be short.
Good strong hands from Fletcher.
And considering we've got a pretty good crosswind, the wind becomes an issue. Because, again, it's not 50 feet I'm kicking it from. It's 50 meters. So it's about 100 feet away. So it's no gimme by any stretch. And this one will kick on its way. Will it go? That's a goal. So if the ball goes through the middle post, either on the fly or on the ground, that counts as a goal. Same thing with a behind. If it goes through on the fly or on the bounce, it's still 1 point.
Hill gets the tap. West, 4 minutes left in the quarter. Got that off just in time.
So now I want to be able to move it down. Oh, I short kicked that. But we got it through. Will it go? That's a goal. So already we built up a 20-point lead over the Essendon Bombers as we're getting close to halftime. We got about a minute left in this term. Now, momentum in this game is critical.
Yep, he got that right then.
And it looks like he got knocked down from behind, so we got a free kick, even though we are at halftime.
That is a smart kick.
I don't think it's going to matter, because now they'll go to the locker room. But Aussie Rules Football, if you're not familiar with it, it is far and away the biggest sport in the country. The governing body for the AFL is the most powerful one in the country. It's played during the North American winter and spring because it is the Australian summer and fall. So I don't remember if right now it should be, if the playoffs are not on at the moment, then they should have either just occurred or should be coming up shortly.
Back to you guys.
But what I love about a game like this, and one of the things that frustrates me as a longtime gamer, is that I could not play this game on my original PS2. I am playing this on actually the PCSXR2 emulator, or PCSX2, I should say, for which is a free emulator. And what I like about it is that it allows you to play non-region games, which nowadays may seem a little crazy to think that, you know, there are games that you can't play in certain parts of the world with the availability of game streaming platforms like Steam and whatnot. Oh, this is going to be sweet if I can get it to go. Yep, that's an open goal. But back in the 80s, or not in the 80s, but in the 90s, especially when excuse me, it's almost bit my tongue, as CDs and DVDs became the standard means of delivery for games. Can we get this kick through? Is that going to be a goal? It is. Man, we are really rolling at this point.
He's happy with that.
But it was the same thing with DVDs and CDs, in that part of what was programmed into them was that they would not play on certain systems for certain geographic regions. So, for example, like a Region 1 DVD was designed for North America.
7 minutes left in the turn.
Whereas I think Region 2 was like Eastern Asia and
You're not going to get the footy if you don't keep presenting it every contest.
I lost the ball.
Gilby picks it up. Penetrating kick inside forward 50.
Can we get the mark? No. And that ball is going to keep rolling. Can we get over to it? Can we get over to it? Yes, we can.
Johnson.
And we kick it through for the goal. Wow.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know the difficulty on this game, but we're currently stomping Essendon. So, yeah, part of my frustration in my teens and my 20s, and even into my 30s, was there were so many games from around the world that I wanted to play like AFL football, but I couldn't play them because I would have had to jerry-rig my PS2 or whatever console I was playing on to be able to do that. Now, with the ability to have emulators which can copy any BIOS from any system, now I'm able to play these a lot more, and that means the variety by which of content that I can create is awesome, because now I'm not specific to just what was available in North America. And that's not to suggest that, you know, only North American games were the only good ones. Can we kick it through? Okay, we're up 44-0.
Couldn't have kicked that any better.
This game is all over.
But that gives you a better idea of what was available in, like, Japan back in the 80s and the 90s and the early aughts.
Solid tackle. That was the right decision.
And stuff that you just weren't able to play here. And one of the big titles that I'm really looking forward to playing, and it will be coming up at some point on this channel, is a game series from Japan called Super Robot Wars. So that will be happening, I won't say soon. We've got to get through our Legend of Zelda playthrough first, and then I got to kind of figure out what I'm going to do next. But that's the general idea, is that being able to play a game like that will hopefully be pretty fun. Move it up and kick it on through, and we got a goal. In footy, it is not uncommon for teams to get upwards of 50 to 100 points in a match. If you can keep the momentum going and allow yourself to build up consistent attacks in an opposing zone,
use the space out there and get it up forward quickly,
then you can really keep your opponents on the back foot.
Timely handball. Murphy runs into a defender. Not sure about that decision. Your thoughts, Sterling?
I think somebody got tripped up, so we get a free kick. But we are cruising through this third term.
4 minutes left in this match. Get some power behind that one.
Oh, and I tried to punch it away and couldn't do it.
Murphy.
See if we can get over here. I will say, if there is a quirk about this game that I am finding is difficult, it is trying to aim the direction by which I kick. I can only imagine how tough it is to actually be an Australian football player and doing that at a full trot up and down a field of that size. And as you may notice, these guys aren't wearing pads. They're not even wearing shin guards like in European football. So we won that one 56-0, and we are only at 17 minutes. So I'm going to chalk that one up as a win, and I think we're going to do another one because I want to be able to keep this at about a half an hour. Whoops, I want to go back, but I want to be able to take on a different opponent here. Let's try... we'll try the Sydney Swans, who don't make too much of the name. They're a good team. So let's see if we can make it a twofer, because that was a pretty fast game. I mean, I played 4 quarters in about 16, 17 minutes with a slight pause. So if you're looking for something that is different than your regular FIFA game or your Madden game, a game like this may be right up your street. So we get the bounce.
Darcy directs it down. Bolton avoids the tackle. Kicks into the
and again, these guys are not wearing pads. And they are very much athletes in every conceivable notion of the word. In order to play in this sport, you've got to be able to move, you've got to be able to kick, you've got to have accuracy.
Kicks toward half forward. Marks over the top of the pack.
Solid use of the body to outmark his opponent.
45 meters
Let's see if we can drive it all the way down here.
Get some power behind that one. No one to contest the ball. Smith opens the
and he ran it across the line, so that's a behind.
By 1 point. Players running to position.
So we're on the board 1-0, and we're almost halfway through the first term.
Kicks it in. Marks well.
But when I was younger and I had people ask me what it is about this sport that I like so much, it is, from the cultural aspect of it, it's just different. And I like...
Disposal. Takes a good mark.
Great
it's one of those bits of latent curiosity I've always had about the world, in that being from North America, it's always assumed that everything that we do here, as I get myself a goal on the board, is superior to everything else. And, you know, I'm not as nationalistic nor am I as jingoistic when it comes to my attitudes for a lot of things.
4 minutes left in the quarter. Goods gets the tap.
You know, I like to be able to explore different parts of the world and understand things that I am not generally exposed to every day. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I'd like to think it isn't. Oh, as he picked that ball off. There we go. Now can I get down here and get the kick?
Kicks it to the square.
Will it go through? It's going to go to the side, and that'll be a behind.
Oh, that is so close.
And we got it right at the end of the term.
By 8 points.
So it's an 8-0 first period lead for us. But it's in much the same way that, like, I have always been curious about how the Japanese perceive and play baseball as opposed to the way we do in the States. Now, obviously, we in the States invented baseball as we get our second goal on the board. But seeing what the Japanese did in the post-World War II era with the sport and how they completely embraced it is, to me, it's a fascinating, you know, cultural difference that is worth looking into. As we wrap up and get the tackle. So now we'll have a, or no, he got called for holding.
He made the right call.
Kicks towards the middle of the ground. Clean pair of hands.
So, I mean, from a sociological perspective,
He's played on.
stuff like this is just cool to me.
Handball finds. Osdike looking for the
They'll
goal.
kick it through, and finally, we've been scored upon.
Happy with that one.
That closes the gap.
As Sydney's on the board with their first goal.
Bounce to restart play. A bit of elbow work as the ruckman jostle for position. Goods gets the tap.
So with the win in the first match, we actually, our record is now gone
I agree with you there, Dan.
to 11-6.
8 minutes left in the quarter. Launches at goal.
As now it is a 2-point affair thanks to those behinds.
A brilliant kick of the footy.
That should be enough.
So the momentum is definitely swung in Sydney's way
Bounce to restart play.
as we're halfway through the term.
Position. The bounce straight down. Darcy. Nice handball. Smith with the football.
Oh, he got hit just as I went to kick it.
The ball. Timely handball.
You got to be careful because you think you can get it and then you get wrapped up.
Roberts Thompson. Nice handball. Bolton. Kirk gets the ball. Handball finds Bolton. Darcy applies
Okay,
a
pulled
strong
him down
tackle.
but could not
Approaching
get
halftime.
there.
Osdike
Uh-oh.
with the football. Plays it safe and kicks short. Play on call. Ineffective handball.
All right, we got to clear it out of here, which we do.
Hall with the ball. Players leaving the ground for the halftime interval.
And we got it out just at halftime. So we got a game here as it is now 2-2-14 to 2-0-12. And again, it's 2 goals, 2 behinds, 14 points versus 2 goals, no behinds, 12 points.
Action about to recommence as the players make
So
their
we
way
should have
back
this
on.
wrapped up
Christy, what was the mood in the rooms?
in a half, or, yeah, two matches in a half an hour, which is exactly what I was hoping for.
Second half is underway.
But even for being now almost a 20-year-old game, the graphics on this are in pretty good shape. And there have been newer versions of AFL games that have come out, obviously,
He goes down on
since.
the tackle. Osdike hands it off to the wrong man. Doesn't cover much
But
ground with that kick. Takes the ball
for the
off the top
time,
of the
this is
goal.
actually,
That is a brilliant
it's easy to be able to
mark.
track everything. The fidelity is pretty good.
Heads up the corridor. Does well.
Ah,
marks.
except I kicked it to the wrong guy.
Has the ball and drives it long inside 50. Makes it cleanly.
And now Fosdyke's
strong
got
hands
it.
from
And now he's
Fosdyke.
from 50 meters out. He could try and
Yeah,
kick
he's
it
looking
in,
all right.
but...
He's lining up for his second now.
Takes the footy.
Oh, no, Keefe went up over the
hands.
back and got it.
55 meters out.
So now he's got a clean shot at goal, and he's going to try and kick it up and short. And now he's right at the edge of the goal square, and it's a point-blank shot, and Sydney has taken the lead thanks to 3 unanswered goals. So as I said earlier, momentum is critical in this sport.
Bulldogs in front. Bounce to restart play. Goods directs it down. West gets the ball. West runs into a defender.
Oh, and I tried to punt it away and could not get it clear.
Nice kick. Solid mark.
But now we get the mark again, so...
Western Bulldogs not doing enough to apply pressure to their opponents.
Thanks, Demi.
We send it downfield. Who can pick it up?
Johnson with the football.
Oh, now he's got a free shot at the goal. Can he send it through? Yes, he can. And we've retaken the lead 20-18 as we're getting towards the end of the third term.
The Bulldogs in front. Bounce to restart play. Goods.
But once you get the hang of the controls, it's also not a difficult game to play. It's just that you're having to control so many guys, and you're having to anticipate so much stuff.
Coops. He sends it long to West. Marks well.
So now we'll send it out. And that is three-quarter time. So the kick will go, but that'll be it, because as soon as they pick it up...
Three-quarter time. The Swans trail by 2 points. Yeah.
That'll be it. So now it's 20-18 going to the final term, so 20 minutes to decide it.
Goods getting the tap. Nice handball.
Let's see if we can get down here to wrap him up. Nope, he broke the tackle.
Kick travels nicely. Climbs over the pack to take that mark. 35 meters out.
It looks like Barry Hall is our primary threat here.
Long. Strong eye.
As he gets it to O'Keefe, and now O'Keefe has a clean shot at goal. And he got it.
The Swans in front.
Now you think kicking it between those uprights seems easy enough. But depending on the position by which you get the ball and have the angle on the shot, I mean, it can... I've seen some guys make some phenomenal kicks.
Handball finds Bowden. Should kick a goal.
They'll kick it through and get the goal. So now we're back ahead 26-24. The ones that are really interesting is that if essentially it's the equivalent of a corner kick you would see in European football, but you're kicking it from an angle near the posts.
That's a free.
Huh. All right. So we had illegal. I don't know what shepherding is, but I think that's the equivalent of offsides.
With the football. Dim, your thoughts?
None at this stage, Dennis.
Thanks, Dermot. Free kick.
No, we did. We got an illegal... Or no, this time we get the free kick.
Nothing presenting. All they can do is kick to space.
And we get the mark.
Great hands.
Kicks into space, hoping a teammate can get under it. Clean pair of hands.
And this time it's picked up by Sydney. So we're under 5 minutes to go. And again, if Sydney can get a goal... They'll win. A behind won't do it. So we are definitely playing to try and ice this one. We sent it on its way, and we got it. So 2 minutes to go. We're up by 8. So it's a 2-goal affair. And I think we got this one, barring the highly improbable, buttoned up. Because we got 30 seconds to go. And that's the horn. So we get the win in a tight one, much tighter than our first match, 32-24. And that, everybody, is Australian Football League Premiership 2005 for the PS2. It's kind of like a game that I could have done a WTF Wednesday about it, but... Obviously, for Sports Saturday, this was more apropos. Because, again, we're playing to a specific niche. People in the United States aren't necessarily going to be into this sort of thing. But people in the Southern Hemisphere and people in Australia, it's their national game. So, you know, different strokes for different folks. Sure. But one of the reasons why I was really keen to try this out was, one, because I have been looking for a long time to be able to play a version of this sport. In a video game system, and 2, for 20th one, I wanted to do something different. I had done American football, I did hockey, I've done basketball, so it was nice to kind of branch out a little bit and get a little bit more cultural and bring to light something that you may not have known about or seen, depending on where you are in the world. But if you like this, and I do hope you have, the easiest way to show it is to, again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Remember, we do have Suckerpunch Sunday coming up tomorrow, where we will play a fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. You can follow us on Instagram at Ronin's Retrocade. That is our social media hub. Thanks to everybody who has gone and followed us there so far. It's a growing community that I hope to get bigger and better as we go. But that is where we're posting all of our stuff going forward. Bear in mind, on Monday, we should be wrapping up our current playthrough of the 1986 NES Classic, The Legend of Zelda. We'll finish our revisitation of that, and that should be a lot of fun. And then if there's a game from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, SNK, neo-geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2 that you would like to see us profile on the channel, leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on Instagram. It can be any game you guys want. Again, the point of the Retrocade is to explore the deep and rich history of video games from around the world during the Great Golden Era from 1984 to the turn of the 20th century, and there is so much stuff there to find that anything is on the table. At the very least, I can look at it and say no, but I'd have to go out of my way to do that. So, again, thank you for joining me for this Sports Saturday. Be safe, be well, happy gaming, and we will talk to you tomorrow for Suckerpunch Sunday. Bye.